Welcome to the Poor Man's Gourmet Kitchen, where we share gourmet recipes at a low-budget wonder. Now check this out. First thing you're going to need is a chopped onion. You want to cut these into 1/2-inch pieces. Also, some russet potatoes. I like to leave the skins on for the nutrients, cut them lengthwise, and then cross-cut them into 1/2-inch slices as well. You can also cut up some celery if you'd like, but today I think I'm going to just use some carrot and some fresh chopped parsley. Now here I've got some fresh bay leaves, oregano, thyme, and rosemary. Just going to tie all these together with some butcher twine. But you can use dry ingredients if you don't have the fresh. Now here I've got a few pounds of beef chuck. I'm going to go ahead and just cut out some portions here. I always try to separate the meatier portions from the fatty, and if I can, try to weigh out 1.5 pounds of meat. And it doesn't hurt to go a little over, so we'll just go ahead and start cutting these into little steaks. And each portion gets cut into smaller pieces. And again, I go for about 1/2 inch on each one. And once that's complete, we'll have our chopped onion, slices of potato and carrot, and all of our beef chuck cut into portion pieces. Now, we just need to season the meat. A few good pinches of kosher salt and pepper should do the trick. And since this meat's going to be braised, we're going to add a little bit of flour here to coat the outside. This, of course, will help thicken our stew. And we don't want lumps, so be sure to stir it in evenly. Now, in a hot pot on the stove, I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil and a chunk of butter. Now we'll just add the onion, then give a quick stir with that melted butter and olive oil, and season with kosher salt and pepper. You'll need about 5 minutes to get translucent here and get a little bit of color. Then you want to add the potatoes, carrot, and chopped parsley. Stir that in all together. Season once again with the kosher salt and pepper. Once you've got all that mixed together, the goal is to sear this a bit, so you're going to need about 10 minutes till it looks something like this. Just a little bit of browning on the edges. If you look close here, you can see it on the sides of the potato. Now we're going to remove all the vegetables from the pot and just set it in a bowl. Set it aside. We got to cook the meat. I'm going to add some olive oil to that same pot and add the meat right to it. And it'll seem a little bit sticky here, but don't worry about it. It'll separate as soon as it starts to sear on that one side. Just like this. You only need about 5 minutes over medium-high heat to sear the sides of that beef. Then you can add all the vegetables back to the pot. And if you want a bolder flavor, now would be a good time to add some red wine. But I'm just going to add beef broth. And generally there's some kind of tomato base, a paste, or a sauce. But I like to use spaghetti sauce or ragu. And because I'm not mixing in red wine, this helps the flavor get more complex. Now's a good time to add in the herbs. And all you have to do is press them down in there and they'll work their magic. Now turn the stove to high heat, bring the stew to a boil, and you're going to take the heat back down to a simmer. And if you look close here now, that gluten activated and thickened our stew. But now we need is some tender meat, so slow and low cooking is the trick. So we're going to put the lid on here, because we don't want to lose much more liquid. And drop that heat down to 1, maybe even down to low. And you want to stew that meat for 2 to 2.5 hours. Now here I've got some Ditalini pasta, and this stuff is great in stews. As you can see, they're just small little noodles. Now after 2 hours of stewing, our meat should be nice and tender. It's definitely thick enough, and technically you could serve at this point, or you could add some sweet peas or the Ditalini pasta I want to add. But first, we need to turn up the heat to a simmer. Gonna add some more water. Now add the Ditalini. And you don't have to worry about that stew being too thin. That water will be absorbed into that noodle and it'll thicken right back up. Just add the lid back to the pot and you want to simmer for 30 minutes. Now is a good time to remove our herbs. So you can see they are depleted. So those aromatics are now in the stew. Just got to give it a good stir. And as you can see, it's practically as thick as it was before, and our noodle is hydrated. So now it's time to serve. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And there you have it. Beef stew right here in the Poor Man's Gourmet kitchen. Thank you for watching, and be sure to stop by PoorMansGourmetKitchen.com for more recipes and exact ingredients.